What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into a delayed edition of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA, ranked number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast network. It is episode number 391. KB and Deej coming at you. This is what happens when Monday holidays happen, and we work on a Monday holiday, and then our whole life get thrown off. We record the following Sunday because that's just how life works. We apologize for the delay, but here we are nonetheless. We're going to recap the PLL Semifinals, dive into our thoughts there as Deej and I were on site for everything, takeaways from all the happenings and such, and then, you know, obviously we will do a full-fledged preview of the championship upcoming on next episode, which will also, my hope is to include our media day interviews, because I'll be at media day wherever it may be, either New York or North Jersey. I'm not 100% certain yet where they're hosting it, but I'll be there. So depending on our schedules and everything, we're going to try to record, do our preview, and then include as many of the interviews from media day as possible in the episode to where it makes sense, obviously, but definitely stay tuned for that. We'll also touch on the NLL Draft a bit since we're recording the day after, some thoughts, some tweaks that we want to see and kind of get back to where the NLL Draft once was. And then obviously just have some fun along the way. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod. A bunch of new followers over the past couple of days. Shout out to you. Be sure to follow us at OTB LaxPod. Follow Hoots at Hoots Sports Media. Follow DJ at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod, subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Plus, it helps all of our other shows here on the network continue to grow. So keep subscribing and leaving those 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia and Outside the Box podcast YouTube channels. YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. We finally did it. We surpassed 1,100 subscribers. We did it. I feel like Dora. We did it. We're at 1,102, which means we're 98 away from our next 100 subscriber milestone. I'm never going to stop bitching and moaning about it, everyone. Keep subscribing, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live, and subscribe to the OTB YouTube channel where we are 37 subscribers away from 100, which means the OTB College Show starts in the new year when the new college season begins with Deej, Hoots, Jackie Knight, Deej and the kids, as we like to
call chill.
Deej and the kids, Deej and friends.
Deej and friends is fine.
So keep subscribing over there as well. If you want the OTB College Show, because if you're new, that's where the video versions of that, when the time comes, will exist, but the audio will still be on the OTB feed. And this show, guys, is proudly presented by our friends over at Rita's and Sewell. Just because the calendar turned to September does not mean summer is over. We still legally have about 2.5 weeks of summer left, okay? Do not let corporate America steal away your summer. And the way to keep it around is by visiting our friends at Rita's and Sewell at 288 Egg Harbor Road in Sewell, New Jersey. Check out all of their delicious flavors. from the Italian ice to the gelatis, the blendinis, and more. You guys know I love the mango ice with the orange creamsicle kind of custard situation. It's absolutely delicious. You can also go to ritasice.com to check out all of the nutritional facts and see their full menu of flavors and treats. Again, that's 288 Egg Harbor Road in Sewell, New Jersey, to visit our friends at Rita's and let them know that Underground Sports Philadelphia, or OTB, sent you, and we thank them for being a proud partner of OTB and Underground Sports Philadelphia. Deej, happy belated birthday, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Wished you a happy birthday off the pod, but we haven't recorded since your latest birthday. Everybody, happy birthdays in the chat. W Deej, HBDG Deej, you know, how you doing? How we feeling? Another year older, another year wiser, another year closer to Unk. Actually, another couple months closer to Unk. How we doing?
Leave me alone. No, I'm actually feeling great. I think this year is going to be fantastic. The closer I've gotten to the latter half of the 20s, the better I felt about them. I feel like the next 5 years are going to be a great 5 years as long as I decide to make them a great 5 years. And yeah, I'm going to be an uncle pretty soon. So I'm excited about all of it, really. I had a good birthday. I had a fantastic time between the travels and all the festivities here at home. So anybody worried about getting older, stop. Getting older is a blessing. It's a blessing.
Period, bruv. Big facts. But yeah, another couple weeks. We really got Unk and the kids.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
We're gonna kick things off with a recap of the PLL Semifinals. It's brought to you by our friends over at Buff. Guys, their Survivor Season 49 collection is live on their website. Check it out. You know, Deej and I love Survivor. Colin Squires loves Survivor. A bunch of PLL employees love Survivor. So rep the coolest show on television, that is Survivor, with the Season 49 Buff collection on their website. Use our link in the description to shop with Buff. Protect yourself from all the elements year-round. Shout out to Buff. Again, use our link in the description to shop with them and check out that Survivor Season 49 collection. And we thank Buff for being a proud partner of OTB. The PLL semifinals have come and gone, and we had a doozy of a time. Some interesting games, some interesting outcomes. We will start with the first game, the New York Atlas 13, the Philadelphia Waterdogs 11. My takeaways, obviously, we run a Philadelphia-centered media company here. Obviously, it's built on the backs of Philadelphia sports. So seeing a Philadelphia team get bounced in the playoffs is never fun. But from an unbiased perspective here, this was one of the best games of the season, in my opinion. Like, it had everything you could have asked for. It had 2-pointers. It had drama. It had, you know, an early lead that a team had to kind of dig deep and battle back from. It had coaching chess match going on from all sides. This game was wildly entertaining. A lot of guys stepped up in a big way for both teams. And at the end of the day, my moral of this game is, the moral of the story, you can't go down 6-0 in the first quarter. That killed the Waterdogs from the rip, and they were kind of just like digging themselves out of a hole the entire game. And Mike Pressler said it in the post-game press conference. They never tied it. The Waterdogs never tied this game. And that's a huge, you know, just a huge thing for a team that had control of the game no matter what. Like, at the end of the day, you held the lead the entire game and never allowed your opponent to really fully get back into it. You were never trading blows in this one, where, you know, you were going back and forth. Like, New York had the lead the entire time thanks to that 6-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the game had energy on both sides. You could tell from the very beginning, both these teams knew what was on the line. They had a mission in mind. They had a game plan they wanted to play out. And Atlas did a better job of starting out that game plan and grabbing control of the game and running away with it. Their offense was literally on fire to start the game. And it looked like one of those games where we were going to look up and at halftime it was going to be, I don't know, like 11-4, 11-3, and everybody's just like, what is going on? And then Ben Wayer happened. He hits that 2, and it kind of slowly gave Philly the idea that, hey, we're here to play a lacrosse game and score goals. So we should probably put a few of them in the back of the net. And then they ended up being down 8-6 at half, and that turned it into a game. Then the third quarter happened, which has been an Achilles heel for the Waterdogs most of the season. They have had trouble coming out of the break and staying as I don't want to say hungry, as successful as they were in the first half. Their offense stalls out, and then their defense is playing more, which just gets them tired, and they give up goals that they wouldn't normally give up. Or they're making mistakes in the clear / in the middle of the field, giving odd man opportunities to the other team. We saw this happen again this past weekend with the Waterdogs. And I think that's the real story as to why they weren't able to win this game. And you can't give those kind of opportunities to a team like Atlas. I thought Stathakis did a pretty good job of making that middle of the field as even as he possibly could and giving them a chance. I think you said you wanted them to go like closer to 50. I was like, dude, I think 35-40 sells it if you can play good defense in the 32. And for a while, they were doing that. And this game was right where the Waterdogs wanted it to be. A two or less goal game where they can be competitive. Once they lost that edge in the middle of the field and they were making those mistakes in the clear, you're given a potent offense too many odd man opportunities. And there were a few penalties in this game. That's also going to set you behind the mark. Atlas has one of the best power plays in the entire league. If you're going to give them odd man opportunities, whether it's unsettled or in a settled power play set, you better have the best goalie in the world, which, no offense to my guy Matt, absolutely love DeLuca, but he ain't the best in the world at the moment. You're going to be giving up tons of goals. And on the flip side of that, it's okay to give up goals if you're going to be scoring goals at the same clip on the other side. Philly wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the Waterdogs only shot 19.5% as a team, as opposed to Atlas shooting 32.5% as a team. But overall, I mean, from a Waterdogs perspective, like, yes, did Matt DeLuca have his best day? Not necessarily. Did the defense have their best day? In a lot of ways, not exactly, but they also had some big-time moments that I was, like, very impressed with from a young Waterdogs team. Like, I think we also forget this year, too, that, like, the Waterdogs played this entire year without their defensive captain. Like, Liam Burns did not play this year due to injury. You had two essentially rookies playing close D for you with Jimmy Freehill and Kenny Brower. I understand Kenny's year 2, but he didn't play a single second of PLL action last year due to injury. And then you had Ben Randall, who was an all-star last year. So, like, to see the growth of Kenny and Jimmy as the season went on, those two are going to be mainstays in this league for a very long time. Like, the way that those guys played this year as a collective was wildly impressive. Ben Randall had blips on the radar where you're like, is he losing a step? But then, like, as the year went on, you saw when Ben was more comfortable too. When Kenny was in the lineup, when Jimmy was doing his thing, when those three were together, that's when Ben Randall was also at his best. And this is no slight at Ben Randall either. I just don't think he's like the Batman of a defense. He's not exactly like the quarterback of a defense. He is a great, great Robin, in my opinion. Like, most teams would love to have Ben Randall on their team, no matter what. But I think you also need that enforcer and kind of that vocal leader. And I don't know if Ben's the vocal leader just because we're not on the field, say. But I do think Kenny Brower can evolve into that from what we've seen from him. And if that continues, I think that's only going to make this defense better. But like you said, Deej, Ben Wayer. Can I remind everyone listening and watching at home that the PLL let Ben Wayer fall to 23? He fell to 23.
I mean,
and
I don't blame you for having this opinion because you don't watch college ball, which we've gotten into a number of times, so I won't bore the people with that argument again. He had a not so good senior season. And like the latter half of his junior year wasn't all too great either. So they really had 2.5 years of really good Ben Weyer and 2.5 years of not so good Ben Weyer.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
Or not 2.5, sorry. More like 2 and 2. So you basically have 2 good years, 2 bad years.
I mean,
what are you going to get in the PLL? And then he falls, and luckily the Waterdogs have gotten great Ben Weyer this year. Is he going to be great again next year? We hope so, but we
I think he fell to the perfect team.
I think that was just the hesitancy and why he fell. I think really any team would have been great for him. Just his style of play would have fit any team. It does help that he's on a team that needs a pole to be like that. But I think more of him falling was just due to the uncertainty of what Ben Weyer you would get.
I also just think his personality fits playing for a Philadelphia team. Like, you see the emotion that he had in the game. You've seen it all year whenever he, makes a play. Like, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a grinder, and I think he's going to be somebody that's going to be a huge part of this Waterdogs project moving forward. And I mean, there's a lot of positives if you're a Waterdogs fan to take away from this game. Obviously, Ben Weyer doing what Ben Weyer did was huge. Jimmy Freehill and Kenny Brower continued to look like the future of this defense. Staff looked pretty awesome. He did exactly what he needed to do. Michael Sowers, while he was getting shut off, was still an important part of everything that went down on that field on Monday. CJ Kirst was fantastic. And I think there's still so much positivity to take away from this year. Because I was thinking about this before we started recording today, Deej, when I was getting ready for the pod. Like, coming off of a year last year in 2024 that the Waterdogs had, new coach, a lot of, championship guys on that team still from 2022 and going to the championship in 2023. A season like last year could have really broken the interworkings of what the Philadelphia Waterdogs are. And the fact that this team never quit, they never broke, they didn't kind of like shut down just because, Andy Copeland was gone. They didn't shut down because guys left, due to retirement or weren't getting in the lineup or what have you. They didn't shut down because they didn't agree with, Bill Tierney. And like that last year could have been a real fork in the road moment for this team in a lot of ways that I think a lot of people sitting on their couches doing Monday morning quarterback don't really realize. And to see this team, yes, was it the easiest season? No. Was it a season of growth for a lot of guys? Yes. Were there growing pains again in year 2 of Bill Tierney and Dylan Sheridan? Of course. But you went 4-6, you made the playoffs, you won a playoff game, and this year you got back to more of what a lot of people have come to know the Waterdogs to be, and that's being one of the most potent teams in the PLL. Any given week, it's their week. It doesn't matter who's on the schedule, and they're going to make noise in the playoffs. And they got back to the ground level of that this year, also while overcoming injuries. Your number 1 overall pick didn't play for half the season. Your defensive captain didn't play the entire year. Christian Scarpello started the year late due to coaching and an injury that he sustained. You had guys get banged up this year. Kenny Brower, when he missed time, the defense looked different. And, that also goes without saying, like, there was a lot of inconsistencies in the offensive midfield this year. There was a lot of moving parts in the early go, trying to figure out the right pieces to the puzzle. But at the end of the day, I think for the most part, this team still has a core intact for the next, half decade, potentially, give or take with some of the guys. But your core pieces, Michael Sowers, CJ Kirst, Kieran McCardle for the next, he said it after they won their quarterfinal game. CJ and Michael extended his career for 5 years. So who knows how much longer, Kieran decides to play, and hopefully it's forever because that's our guy. But, you know, you have Zach Currier still in his prime at age 31. You still have a very young defense that you built through the draft. Like, this is a homegrown defense now. There's a lot to be excited about, I think, if you're a Waterdogs fan over the next couple of years. And I think this was just year one of, like, the floor of what this team can really get back to. And I think they're going to continue being a postseason contender, a championship contender, like we've come to know them throughout their entire existence. And I think 2024 was a blip on the radar, and they're going to be back to being one of the elite teams year in and year out in the PLL for years to come.
I like what they put together this year. It was more about the locker room. This was a big locker room year. Sure, it helped that they had some success on the field and were able to make the playoffs, but this was more about the locker room returning to what it was when Andy Copeland was there. Granted, it's not going to be the exact same, but that year that he wasn't there, the adjustments, the new coaching styles, the new players, it was a lot all at once. And I think that team got really wrapped up in wins and losses, which then fed into the locker room. Then, you know, obviously the talking heads, Twitter, all of those things, social media, it all also feeds into that, because as much as we'd like to think players are too busy, we know they're on social media. They're humans. They're just like us. They have downtime. They get on social media. They see these things. That factors into things too. Maybe that's thrown at guys during heated situations in practice and other times like that. Like, all of these things kind of boil and snowball into each other. And last year was kind of an example of it boiling over, but not to the point to where everybody could see it. You know, like, everybody just took all the Waterdogs problems last year as face value. Oh, this team just can't score. Oh, they're having trouble defending the two. Oh, they just don't have a good face-off guy because he started too late. Like, there was all these X's and O's and coaching things, nothing about the culture and the locker room and the team and just the outsides of playing. And I think that was the real struggle for them last year. Those struggles were not here this year. Even when they were struggling on the field, they felt like the group was a nice group that believed in each other and wanted to be there and had all the pieces to be successful. They just needed to keep the locker room in a good space and everybody's mindset good as well. They really worked on that this year, did a great job at that, and had a lot of success in the field with young guys, which is the key. Like, if you can do it with young guys, you're going to have success moving forward, because now they believe in what you got, and they're going to be able to bring in anyone else and get them to believe as well. Now that you have that locked in with whatever core you decide to keep from this group, whether it's young or you keep old and you do both, whatever the case may be, they all have that fundamental belief that this team is great. This team can do things if we all have the same mindset and same belief. So if you're not here for that, you're going to have to hit the door, because that's what we're about here. They established that this year, and you could see it both on and off the field.
And I think the big thing too is, like, Kieran McCardle's always been a captain on this team. You know, he's always been the veteran leader since year one of the Waterdogs. I think this year we saw a lot of leadership develop amongst guys who are still very young in the grand scheme of, like, where they are in their careers, including Michael Sowers, including Matt DeLuca. I think those guys really stepped up in leadership roles this year, and that showcased a lot. I think they kept things very level-headed, even-keeled when things were going rough, when things were going well. And I think when you have those guys really stepping into leadership roles, it makes a lot of things easier on the coaching staff to know, like, hey, we don't necessarily have to, you know, for lack of a better term, like, be policing the locker room. Like, these are grown adults. They can figure it out on their own, and we can rely on those guys that we entrust with the leadership on this team to really make that work. And I think the other big development too is, like, when CJ came into the lineup, like, you didn't know how it was going to work, but knowing that you have full-blown chemistry with CJ Kurse, Michael Sowers, and Kieran McCardle for at least the next 2 years with that trio together, I think is huge, because you didn't know how it was going to go with CJ not playing in the first half of the year and then him being, you know, inserted into the lineup. I still think, you have to figure out a little bit more of a balance, including with that offensive midfield and figuring that out. But knowing that your big three can dominate together and play off of each other and feed off of each other, and the chemistry is there in half a year, half a season, is super fun and super important for just moving forward for this team, and knowing that that chemistry is already there.
I want to say that's true. Just the league has so much turnover. And so many different decisions are made on a weekly basis. Sure, that's the three that started attack now, but come week 1 next year, that may not be the case. This team may not even look the same. We have like there's so many different pieces that could be there come week 1 next year. I mean, not even championship series. There could be a lot of changes, not just because of roster, but just guys' lives. We live crazy lives as humans. We all do. A lot of things can happen in a matter of 24 hours, let alone months to a year. If this group stays exactly how it is, you have one of the best midfield or one of the best attack groups in the league. I mean, this attack group just went toe-to-toe with Atlas twice. Who's probably has the best attack room in the PLL at the moment. Obviously, Denver wants to talk about that a little bit. But realistically, when I look at it, I see Atlas and I see Waterdogs as the top 2 attack groups in the league. This current attack group, if it stays together, it's going to be immaculate as long as they are together. You have 3 guys that can do everything. Doesn't matter which guy's the assist guy for the day, who's the shooter, who's the dodger. They're all just going to flow off of each other and pick the role that they need to have for the day and roll with it. The only thing I need from this group is for it not to be a one-person group, if that makes sense. It's a 3-person group, obviously. It's a trio, just like any other attack group. But this group feeds the hot hand so much, which is not a problem. You should feed the hot hand, but not so exclusively. This group needs someone else to do something out of that attack line to help take some of that pressure off of that guy who's already hot and let the midfield feel a little more comfortable to go when they get the opportunities. Their offense has problems, but to me, the attack group is not it.
And it was night and day offensively for them this year versus last year. Like last year, you and I were sitting week in and week out wondering what the fuck Dylan Sheridan was doing. And we love Dylan Sheridan. He listens to the show now. But like we had questions because on the field and watching games, we were like, how the fuck is this offense not cooking when you have Kieran McCardle, when you have Michael Sowers last year, when you had Ethan Walker? Like, why is this offense so stagnant? Why are balls dying in sticks so often when we've never seen that from this group from the Waterdogs? So kudos to Dylan Sheridan and the offense to really like hone in on what went wrong last year and fix a lot of those issues. Was it perfect? No. But my goodness, I would much rather watch the offense the Waterdogs had this year than what they were putting out in 2024.
Yeah, I think this year's offense is much better. I think it still had the stagnant problem that 2024's offense had, but there were a few more pieces there that helped. You know, when CJ Kurz came back, he provided a spark. Jake Taylor earlier in the year was a nice addition to this team. And then you had your spurts of Jack Hanna and Thomas McConvey. Then you had the one game where Mikey Schlosser came back and provided some speed and a new look for you as well. So there's the moving pieces. Connor Kelly had his games where he popped off. So the offense was there, just not consistently. That's the problem. Consistency. If you get those kind of, like my opinion is, especially in the PLL, your attack should be combining for somewhere between 9 to 12 points a game. And then you have one midfielder every game that gives you somewhere between 3 to 6 points. If you get that, you should win. Unless your defense is giving up the same thing on the other side. But then again, that's what makes these games so good. They're tight. I think that's what you saw with the Denver Atlas overtime game. the attack groups from both sides popped off. They each had a midfielder or two that gave them some extra burn. Okay, now we need this extra time to decide who actually wins this game. That's how almost every single PLL game should be. Some offenses just really run into a very stagnant problem, like we've seen with the Waterdogs, the Redwoods, and the Chaos from time to time, have run into that issue of being extremely stagnant with the ball, and then it turns into a lot of empty possessions.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest, I think, off-season look in the mirror is like figuring out the components of this midfield and not being so like similar in the midfield. I think the Waterdogs have so many guys that do a lot of the same things, and there's nothing wrong with having that much talent there, but like they need guys to be multi-dimensional if they're going to have guys doing the same thing. And that's going to be a big thing, and I think just getting a little bit more youthful at the short stick D midi spot and having some more clear-cut depth there, because I think, when Jake Richard retired, you lost a little bit of depth there. Christian Scarpello starting the season injured. You lost some depth there when you're playing Eli Gobrecht at short stick, which like he did an admirable job, but that's not really his forte position per se. Like he can do it, but like you're not going into every week saying, okay, Eli Gobrecht short stick D midi. And I think Eli would tell you the same thing. But I think if they can get some more depth there, that'll be huge for them. But overall, like B- season for the Waterdogs. You won a playoff game, first time in Bill Tierney's coaching tenure. You saw a lot of promise from a lot of the young guys, a lot of contributions from the young guys, and Michael Sowers took another step forward to being one of the best players on the planet, like he already was, but took it to another echelon. And you should be very excited, I think, about the future of this team if you're a Philadelphia Waterdogs fan or a fan of somebody on that team, because they're going to be fun for years to come. The New York Atlas, they go to their first ever PLL championship game. I'm very happy for Trevor Baptiste, the only remaining member of the original 2019 Atlas Lacrosse Club. Obviously, you have a bunch of, drafted homegrown guys like Rex Road and Danny Logan and Jeff Teat and stuff like that, but Trevor has worked his ass off to get to where he is, just to be recognized as one of, if not the best face-off athlete to ever do it. And the fact that he gets to play for a championship right in his backyard. He's a North Jersey kid. I couldn't be happier. Like, I've covered Trevor's career professionally from the day it started in the NLL, and then it carried over, obviously, to his first year in the PLL. He's one of the best people I've ever met, and I could not be happier that he gets the opportunity now to go and compete for a title. Like, when I saw New York won, like, obviously it sucks to not have a Philadelphia team for us to continue, like, building and pushing to our audiences, on the main pod and stuff like that. But from just a lacrosse perspective and, like, just enjoying what was a very fun game and the takeaways, like, I'm so happy for Trevor.
I mean, this was a double-edged sword for me. I picked the Waterdogs and Redwoods because I thought it would be fun for us to get to that point and have a championship game with those fan bases against each other. Didn't work out, but I said way back in preview for the season that Atlas would be here, and here they are. I'm happier for really so many guys, because first and foremost, Trevor, he's been there for so long. He's put in so much work, and he's gotten all the accolades except that championship trip. He's got that now. He has a very good chance of winning one as well. That's kind of the next step for him, is to get that championship ring and lock that down for him. But then just Coach Pressler and Jeff Teat, Rex Road, these guys who have been here for a couple years that are hearing Atlas is always stacked and just blows it. Oh, they choke all the time. Man, they just can't get it done. Like, that weighs on you after a while. This is the 4th year Jeff T has been on Atlas, and this year, 4th, 5th, 6th, fourth or 5th. But either way, he's been so close every time, and then he finally makes it this time. And it's that validation that they're doing everything right, and that they're not overrated, and that they are as good as they think they are, and everyone says they are. And the hard work paying off. They've been putting in work towards this goal for years. And now it is finally here. And they're led by a guy that probably wants it more than anyone else. And he gets to play, right in his own backyard to do so. It's really just exciting that a team that deserves to be here and that should be here is going to be here and have this opportunity. Because they've been the best or second best team in the league pretty much all year. They had their little stint early on where things didn't look the best, but they turned away from that and they were on Rainbow Road for the rest of the year. And here we are looking at them, 48 minutes away from hoisting up a PLL Cup.
And I mean, from the game takeaways too, from just an adjustment standpoint, kudos to Bill Tierney for finally figuring out Brian Costabile, because the Waterdogs shut him off. He went 0 for 6 shooting. I feel like that's his worst career game against the Waterdogs in his career. Not even just like this year, but just overall. Brian Costabile has been a Waterdogs killer. That's a huge testament to the defensive adjustments they made there. But, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of pomp and circumstance on the Atlas around Shelley, around Teat, even around Matt Trainer as a rookie. To me, it's kind of wild how, just smooth operator under the radar Xander Dixon's season has been. That dude, we know he's good, but obviously there's so many guys on this team that have had phenomenal years. But, Xander, what a year. And I just want to give him his flowers because he was excellent this season. He was excellent in this game. And I think he's going to be a huge part of whether or not Atlas, like you said, can go 48 minutes more and hoist a trophy. I think he's a huge part of that because he's been phenomenal for them this year. And has it been pop off the page type of stuff? No, but he's put his head down, 24 points this year, shot 40.7%. Very impressive season from Xander Dixon.
And I think he's always kind of been that way. The guy who is just more low-key, under the radar. And
not Thor, more Loki.
Literally. But more of that guy who's just there to do his job and help the team win, right? His season where he broke the NCAA scoring goals record was only such a big deal because they said something about it all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if he knew how close he was to that record. I think he was just out there catching passes from Shelley and finishing. Catching passes from, any other guy that can find him and finishing. That's what he does. He moves around, he catches passes, sets screens, he finishes. The rest of it is arbitrary to him. And it's so amazing to still see players like that in the league. Reminds me a lot of Westberg, Jake Carlson. I think Jake Taylor's a lot like that. These guys aren't, these guys aren't too concerned with the glitz, the glamour, getting the recognition and the accolades. They just want to play ball, score goals, and win. And Xander's a perfect example of that. And he's in a place where he doesn't have to be the guy. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to shine. He doesn't have to be the glitz, the glamour, the face. He just has to show up, catch passes, and score goals. It's the perfect scenario for him. And I know a lot of teams wish that he wouldn't have ended up there.
Yeah. And I think, the biggest piece of this puzzle this year for New York, because as soon as he got put in the lineup, you noticed the shift, you saw the change. The 7 games that he played were magnificent, and only one of them he went scoreless. Reed Bowering was the missing piece for this team to really get going. When he got put into the lineup, it was an instant shift for them. He has been a godsend for this Atlas team. Shelley talked about it after the game. Jeff Teat has talked about it. Pressler's talked about it. Like, this guy was like the missing cog in the wheel to really make this offense hum.
It's I don't know. It's just so tough with teams to say kind of who did what, but I think he had an amazing season. I think he was one of those guys that I was talking about in terms of having that spark from someone that isn't your big three, having that spark from someone that isn't an attackman that can come in and give you a few extra to boost on top of what they're giving you. That guy that's making it tough for those defensive midfielders, and he did that all year. Yeah, I mean, he pushed at all the right times. He took shots at the right times. He was able to set screens and feed, and he just unlocked another level of Jeff Teat with that box experience and the way that they played that two-man game on that side. It really made to me, it felt like it made Jeff a little more comfortable than he had already been, and that really just grew their offense. And then, I mean, he's Reed Bowery. He's gonna catch some crazy stuff inside and finish. Like, that's literally what he does. And he was a great spark to the offense that really, to me, elevated Jeff Teat to that level of, hey, should he be in the MVP conversation? I think if Reed Bowery doesn't show up, Jeff still has a good season, but not the season he had. He really took another step up just in a comfortability level, and he started to make a lot of really good plays. And then you already had Shelley playing at a super high level with Xander inside. Then you can put any two midfielders up top with that. Brian Costabile, Hugh Callagher, Matt Trainer, Dox Aiken. I mean, just the list can roll, and they're going to be successful when those four are on the field with them. So I really liked plugging him into the lineup, especially when it made Jeff Teat so comfortable.
Yeah, so the New York Atlas get a home, allegedly, playoff game, championship game right outside of New York. And I know they call Albany home base, but I'm sure there's a lot of, fans in New York and North Jersey and everything that root for the Atlas. So that's pretty cool for them. The Denver Outlaws, California Redwoods started out hot, kind of sizzled out at the end for the Redwoods. They kind of just had no gas left in the tank. Denver Outlaws 12, California Redwoods 7. First time this iteration of the Denver Outlaws go to a championship game. And, I mean, well-deserved. This team was methodically put together. They have been, I think, trying to rise from the ashes of the original Chrome core of Galloway, White, Rannigan, McIntosh, and those boys. Not that they were like bad players. Like, you talk to anybody that played with those guys are still a core part of the ethos of that organization. But I think this Outlaws team were trying to find their identity, and they found it this year. It started, obviously, with drafting Brennan, and, Logan was now already being there, but then you trade for Pat Cav, you bring in Bernhardt. I think a lot of, people weren't sure what the Outlaws were going to be, and then your goalie steps in this year and changes the dynamic of your entire season, where, like, who knows where the Outlaws are if they stick with Owen McElroy over Logan McNaney. And I guess we'll never know, because Logan McNaney, a goalie of the year finalist, a rookie of the year finalist, arguably a team MVP for them, and he flipped the script of what this Outlaw season ended up being. Brendan O'Neill, MVP candidate. Pat Cavanaugh, MVP candidate. I mean, this team, top to bottom, was put together in such a way that I can't wait for, and I wish they had it now, Deej, with all the end of year awards stuff coming out, and now that there's two teams with split roles, I wish there was a GM of the Year award, because honestly, Tim Sudan could be up for that award as well. The way that he put this team together this year, going out and signing Zach Geddes, going and drafting the way that he did, going and training for Pat Cav, signing Jared Bernhardt. Yes, the coaching aspect of having that much talent on the team kind of speaks for itself, and those guys are going to be able to go out and do things. But you also, like, managing the coaching and GM side of that, Pseudo put together one hell of a roster this year, and it showed week in and week out. And there were very few moments in this season, especially after the goalie change, that showed any signs of weakness on this Denver Outlaws team. They were exceptional for 90% of the season, and they earned every bit of having an opportunity to go play for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, this game was great. It had all the energy. Early on, it looked like exactly what everybody thought it was going to be. A hot Redwoods team playing a Titan.
Well rested.
Yeah, like a team that hadn't played in a very long time, Denver Outlaws. And that's exactly what it looked like. Redwoods came out hot. They were firing on all cylinders. They were putting goals in the back of the net, dominating the middle of the field, being all over the place. And then eventually the Outlaws warmed up as they got a couple of goals. The typical Redwoods mental mistakes that they made really cost them. There's an opportunity on the fast break where Chris Fake took a shot that was, in my opinion, an ill-advised shot. Clean save, goes the opposite way. Now you have Brennan O'Neill dodging on two short sticks as they're trying to play defense on the backside while Chris Fake is hustling back. Make a couple different decisions in some areas like that, and now we're talking about maybe a Redwoods win. But at the end of the day, Denver did what they were supposed to do. They shook off the rust, and they got going, and they stayed hot. They came out in the second half, and they went on a run. And they just kept scoring goals, getting the ball to the right guys. Most importantly, Brennan O'Neill, and just letting him kind of control the game and dominate, because that's what he does best. I thought that the real lifesaver to their team, like you mentioned, was Logan McNaney. They never make that switch. Denver's in a very different scenario. Not going to say that they wouldn't have won a game. Not going to say that they definitely would have missed the playoffs, but they wouldn't have been 7-3, wouldn't have been the best team in the league, and we might not be talking about them being in the championship game if they never make that change. He stepped in, played a huge role, played well, and then sparked the rest of this team. That kind of his play revitalized Mike Manley and Jesse Bernhardt. They started to play better. You knew what you were getting from JT already. Then the middle of the field, once Luke Weirman really kind of found a pace. Now, he wasn't on a great pace, but he was somewhere between 35 and 55 the entire year. Not good, but consistent. That's the one thing you can say about Denver, is they have been consistent. They're getting pretty much the same output from their attack every game. They're getting 35 to 55% from Weirman. You're getting a couple points from Pacino a game. And then your defense is playing well with McNaney locking down between the pipes. All you got to do is make sure you don't get outscored. They found the formula that works for them, and that's what I love about it, is they worked hard at creating an easy formula to winning for them and following it to a T.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And I mean, how many times can we say the same player has the goal of the regular season and arguably the goal of the playoffs? A step back two-piece McNugget from Brennan O'Neill was absolutely disgusting. And he's truly the only player on the planet that could pull that off with that much ease, with that much accuracy and just potency. The fact that he has easily the goal of the regular season with his between-the-legs shot in Fairfield and that shot in the postseason, like, we've known it for a very long time, but he's him.
Yeah, the dude's an absolute menace. It's insane. what he does, and the fact that he just plays off flow and doing the things that he needs to do, right? Like that step back shot wasn't planned. He's like, I just needed to get my hands free, and it just so happened to be a two, or him doing the crazy shot that he had earlier in the year. That was goal of the year. That literally was just instinct. He's like, you know what? I had no better shot. Like the only way I was really getting that shot off was to do it that way, so I did. Like that's how he plays. He does what he needs to do to get a shot or a pass off and create a play. And if it happens to be some wild, crazy play, cool. But if it just so happens to be a basic step down ripper, cool. Like the guy doesn't care how he does it. He just wants to do it. And that's the difference between like Denver and other teams. Like Denver is one of those teams that literally doesn't care how they do it. They just want to do it. Whether it looks cool or not, they don't care. Who does it doesn't matter. How it's done doesn't matter. It just needs to get done. And Brennan O'Neill is the captain and the focal point of that. He starts that with I just play, and you can see that everybody else just plays right alongside him.
Yeah, they're super fun, man, and they're going to be a lot of fun in this matchup upcoming. But much like the Philadelphia Waterdogs, the California Redwoods had one hell of a season. I mean, your coach doesn't get nominated as a Coach of the Year candidate for just nothing. To take this team from where they were last year, and Brian Tevlin said it in the post-game press conference, like the feeling in the locker room after last season when it ended versus this season are night and day. And I think what Anthony Kelly and Joe Spallina, who I've been talking with Joe, he's going to be making an appearance on this show in the near future, which is very exciting. It's been a long time coming. I think what this Redwoods team is building just got started. Like this year was the foundation. They were trying to find what the pieces of the puzzle were going to be. There's a lot of questions to answer this offseason with such a loaded free agent class that they have, that they're going to have to figure out, the key pieces to bring back and everything. But I think you have the most important thing. You have the defense intact. You have a young defensive core. You have one of the best short stick D-middies in the game in Brian Tevlin. Carter Rice was a phenomenal rookie this year on that end. Chase Ireland showed a lot down the stretch this year, and I think really changed a lot of the trajectory of where this Redwoods offseason can and will go. You obviously have a Rookie of the Year candidate and potential Rookie of the Year winner in Chris Kavanaugh, who's going to be the face of this team for a long, long time. Dylan Malloy, Resurgent Player of the Year. Like, what a season for him at this point in his career. Andrew McAdory, like, there's so much to be positive about with the California Redwoods moving forward. I think the offense was very fun this year in a lot of moments, and that's a credit to Bocklet. Chris Collins had the defense and the goalie work locked down yet again. And Anthony Kelly got his feet wet for the first time in the PLL version of the game, and I thought he did a phenomenal job as a head coach. And the sky's the limit, I think, with this team. There's so much positivity that comes away from this Redwood season that if you're a Redwoods fan, you should be thrilled about the direction of this team, how this season went, and where things will go. And you get to compete for a trophy in February at Champ Series.
I think this is like best case scenario. Like insane case scenario, they win a championship. Best case scenario, you go 5-5 and make the playoffs in the championship series. And you have nothing but excitement to look forward to. Like, I think the hardest decision is having to find out or having to look at what reserve or training camp roster spots you want to give guys. Who are you re-signing? Because you can't re-sign everyone. Like, it just realistically, you can't, knowing that you're bringing in more people or more players in the draft, maybe even signing some guys, whatever the case may be. That's going to be their toughest decision because you got to make those decisions heavily. Like, you have to really think about those because it could change the entire dynamic of your locker room. Like, the big conversation is what's going to happen with Ryder Garnsey. how does that affect Chris Kavanaugh if he doesn't come back, and the way that they play together and how they feel being on the field together? Like, there's so many dominoes that could fall depending on who you remove from the squad and who you decide to resign. But I think the important thing is most of the pieces that they had this year were more than helpful. Most of the pieces that they had this year took a step forward or showed a rookie spark. Most of the pieces that they had this year proved why they should be coming back next year. Once again, the only problem is you don't know where. And I think there isn't a lot of place for improvement either, which I think is a good thing. Like, not literally, not that they can't improve, not that they can't get better, but like, there isn't this glaring spot like, oh, the Redwoods really need this. They could use another midfielder maybe. But also, when you look at it, it's like, hey, they really could just ask Romar, Charlie Bertrand, or Cole Kirsch to play better and get what they need, right? Other than that, I think the rest of their team is actually in a really great spot. I think they could use another maybe backup faceoff guy and a backup goalie, but like, that's it. Like, this team is really in a space to be competitive with every team in the league. You can maybe get another backup attackman for when you eventually do make changes down there. But personally, I think that they had a very great season, and their hardest decision is going to be deciding who to let go, because this team is headed in all of the right directions.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun off season for them, and like I said, they also get to compete for a trophy in February, which, like, I don't care what people have to say about Champ Series. These guys, these players, they want to compete in the Championship Series. The amount of guys we've talked to, whether they're competing already at Champ Series and they're, letting us know guys that they know, they're like, yo, we want to be there. Like, I wish we were playing. Or like, we've talked to so many people about Champ Series. The guys in the league, coaches, players, everything, they want to play in that event. It means something. It has enough legs already where, like, guys want to be there, and I think that's huge. And now the Redwoods get another opportunity to compete in February for a trophy.
Yeah, and I think the more time that they get to be with each other, the more time they're on the field together, and I mean, they have a solid chance of lifting a trophy come, February. A lot of this team is going to be playing in that championship series. Obviously, we don't quite know about guys like Sammy English, who's hurt but maybe playing in the NLL. I would imagine he will, being a Canadian
Toronto.
and getting drafted there. Andrew McAdory gets drafted. We don't know if he's going to play or not. And
which I did see someone, I think it was Cody Jansen, tweeted that a two-time NLL champion texted him that if McAdory decides to play, he's in the starting lineup week 1.
And Chris Kavanaugh gets drafted by the Seals. Don't know if he plays or if he cracks that roster. I think that's the bigger thing there, is he may try and go play, but does he actually get in on that roster, which is already pretty top-loaded? And then there's some other pieces, from that side.
And you have guys that have played in it before, like Romar, Dylan Malloy. Like, they know the tricks of the trade of Champ Series, which I think is a huge thing.
Yep. So I think that they have a great chance of winning that. And if they lift a trophy, there's no telling what they could do in the following summer. We've seen teams get a boost from lifting that trophy and playing well in the following season. So it could be the same thing for the Redwoods this year.
Just don't win the Golden Stick.
Yeah, that's facts.
It's crazy. That thing has been a curse for the men's side of things all 3 years. But yeah, congrats to the Redwoods on one hell of a season. Congrats to the Dogs on one hell of a season. We'll preview more of the championship game on next week's episode, or this week's episode, because you'll have 2 episodes this week because of when we're recording. But nonetheless, championship game is set, and there's no better way to keep up to date with everything going on for the PLL championship than in the PLL app. Guys, your one-stop shop for everything regarding the PLL, from interviews, from practices, press conferences, articles from all the beat writers, PLL fantasy, and it's a gamified app, so you earn experience points, you level up, which unlocks perks in the app for you. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, and when you go to checkout, use code, or not checkout, but go to the redeem code section, and when you go there, type in OTBPOD, that's OTB Pod, in the redeem code section on the PLL app, and you'll get 500 XP on your account. Again, download the PLL app, go to the redeem code section, type in OTBPOD, OTB Pod, to get 500 XP on your account, and keep up to date with everything going on in the PLL and in the PLL championship game in the PLL app. Deej, the NLL Draft happened. We'll talk about it here because we'll have a big PLL preview for the championship on the next episode. So we'll talk a little draft here. Any surprises for you that came from this draft, and what did you make of just where things fell, where guys went, and all that good stuff?
The only surprise I have is one that I'll hold off on until we get to that conversation, because I know you would like to dive into that, so I will not kill the mood with the only surprise that I have. Yeah, that's the only surprise I had about the draft. But... Yeah, I think the draft overall went about as chalk as I would expect it to. Like, kind of the guys that we had our eyes on went around the times we figured they would go. A couple guys we were like on the fence about them getting drafted. Obviously Coulter gets drafted. Chris gets drafted. I noticed that like almost all of our all name team guys that we were talking about off pod were drafted pretty significantly, decent times in the draft, and went to spots that I feel for the most part are good for them. Some of them are not good for us in terms of how we feel about certain teams, but they're in great spots to be successful, and that's kind of what we care about most, is seeing our guys have a good time playing and watching them have success. We would love to see them be in certain jerseys, but at the end of the day, we want to see them be prosperous. And I think most of the guys that we had our eyes on went to places that are going to be good places for them.
CJ Kirst becomes the 5th player in pro lacrosse history to be drafted number 1 overall in both the MLL/PLL and NLL drafts, joining Kevin Crowley, Jeff Teat, Lyle Thompson, and of course Brendan O'Neill. Pretty cool for CJ. You know, he's part of a family that is well regarded in the lacrosse community, just like Lyle, obviously. But to see CJ get that nod, especially 1 year after Brennan gets it, and now back-to-back, I think for the first time since 95-96, this is the first time that Americans go back-to-back number 1 overall in the NLL draft, is pretty cool. And, you know, we've had limited time around CJ, but the times we've been around him, he's just so humble and so kind, and I'm super stoked for him. And like right before the draft started, he announced that he signed with Nike, and he'll be a Nike lacrosse athlete. Nike dropped one of the coldest ads for him, which they tend to do with all of their athletes. And I just can't wrap my mind around the fact that the Toronto Rock have CJ Kirst, Sam English, Owen Hiltz, Tom Schreiber, Challen Rogers, Mark Matthews, Latrell Harris, and more. But the fact that Owen Hiltz and CJ Kirst are on the same team with Tom Schreiber just breaks my brain.
I mean, dude, we talked about it before. It's like they never should have been able to have these, but because they do, like, we got to just live with it. I think they may have a problem eventually that we saw with San Diego when they first kind of started making some serious moves, of having too many mouths to feed, not being able to get enough guys going at the right times to be competitive with teams like Colorado, who was stacked offensively at the time, Buffalo, Georgia's got a solid offense, Toronto. But now Toronto's going to be on the opposite side of this, where they're kind of more so figuring out how to make all their puzzle pieces come together. And if you're not on point when you go play Buffalo, San Diego, Colorado, Calgary, Georgia, you're going to lose some games because those guys and their offenses are locked in, ready to go, and have star power all over, ready to attack you. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at them the most on, is how quickly are they going to be able to get everybody acclimated together on the offensive end and flowing in terms of chemistry to be able to be successful no matter, what 5 guys are out on the floor. But I do think they are star-studded, and there will be some high expectations for them to win an NLL Cup over the next, 5 to 8 years. Obviously, the young talent, they're giving some grace, but there's still a lot of veteran talent that is there. And I think the combination of the two creates that place where they're like, hey, yeah, 5 to 8 years, we need one of those. And I think that's the position Toronto's in.
I love the Wings first-round pick. Bo Columbus coming to the Wings. Face-off guy. Going to play defense as well. This has been a problem for the Wings since the Trevor Baptiste trade. And now you get a guy who is strong, physical, and truly like a missing piece to this Wings organization. I love the pick, picking 15 after, trading some picks away and winding up where you were at, like to get a guy like that not only fills a position of dire need, but is also like wildly talented. I love the pick there. I think he's going to be a day one starter for this team. Also, PLL guys along with CJ Kirst and Owen Hiltz that were drafted. Deej mentioned some of them, but Levi Verge goes 13th overall. I think he becomes one of, if not the only player to go 13 overall in both the PLL and NLL draft in the same year.
I say it just might be.
Went 13 overall to the Carolina Chaos, goes 13 overall to the Saskatchewan Rush. I love that landing spot for him. What a steal. Like, if you told me like Levi Verge was going to be on the board for the Wings, I would have been like, please draft him. But the fact that he went 2 picks before, like Levi's a fucking beast, and he's going to be so good in Saskatchewan. So I love that pick for them. Second round, some notable guys: Mick Kelly, Hugh Kelleher go back to back to start off the second round to Vancouver, and yes, Toronto. Adam Thistlethwaite goes to Rochester. Chris Cav, like DJ mentioned, goes to San Diego. Why do we know the name Aiden McDonald? His name just sounded super familiar to me. I don't know why.
I think it's just too close to Aiden O'Connell.
Maybe. We also had Jimmy Freehill, the boy, going to the Buffalo Bandits, pick 32 in the second round. Colorado got one of the best names in the draft in the second round, Jameson Bucktooth. Just so good.
Such a fire name.
So some notable names there. Going to the third round, Graydon Stokes leads things off going to Vegas. Our guy Jackson Fridge, who we talked about on the last episode, goes to your Calgary Roughnecks. Broke some news during the draft because they will be the Oshawa Firewolves, that they made an announcement that they were making an announcement this week, which is so fucking stupid. But Calgary tweeted, "We've made a trade with Oshawa," and broke the news there. So the Oshawa Firewolves draft Jackson Fridge. Carter Coffey goes to Buffalo. Ben Cromer goes to the Wings. Keen Moon goes to the Georgia Swarm. Matt Palo Alto, he's New York's backup face-off guy.
Who?
Matt Pilato.
Maybe
he might be the Whip Snakes. He's Nardella's backup.
Okay. I don't know any face-off backups because none of them play.
Only reason I remember that is because they cut Petey to sign him. He goes to Colorado though, and then Andrew McAdory goes to Saskatchewan, and Mitchell Dunham goes to Rochester. And like I said, Cody Jansen tweeted that he spoke to a 2-time NLL champion, and I want to know who that was, because they said that if McAdory decides to play, he's in the lineup week 1 because of how talented he is. And Joe Spallina gave his seal of approval for Andrew McAdory getting drafted. So could be a steal of the draft in the third round there for Saskatchewan. Some other names, Deej, like you mentioned, Coulter Mackesy goes 51 to the San Diego Seals. Ben Ramsey goes 54 to the Seals. Also, the Wings draft Caden Brennan. I don't know if there's any other team that has someone with the first name Brennan, last name Brennan on their team, but now the Philadelphia Wings do. Joe June Gerkis goes to the Colorado Mammoth. And then into the fifth round, we had Hayden Summers Thompson go to Oshawa. Kobe Hanser goes to Toronto. Bobby Van Buren goes to the Georgia Swarm. Gregory Elijah Brown goes to the Ottawa Black Bears with the nicest pick in the draft. Also going in this one, I think it's Eddie Q. I don't know. Do you?
How is it spelled?
QU.
I would say Q.
That's what I'm guessing. Shout out Eddie. And then in round 6, Dakota Ironman goes to the Toronto Rock. Matthew Colebrook goes to your Calgary Roughnecks. Hawaii Francis goes to Oshawa. Hawaii. I don't know. Apologies here. Max Skeen, great name, goes to Ottawa. Nathan Powers goes to Georgia. Tommy Wood goes to Calgary. Clifford Gaston, Rochester said, be our guest. You're coming here. Boris Maximenko. How did we miss him last week when we were going through names? Boris Maximenko goes to Vancouver.
Maximenko.
Maksimenko.
What a fucking name.
What a fucking name. Boris. How many people do you know named Boris? That's like a cartoon name.
Diao?
Respectfully. Fair.
Diao?
Still.
That's it. I think Boris. No. Never mind. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's crazy. What a name. And then the Philadelphia Wings, stats that don't matter. They go from drafting number 1 overall to last year to this year having the Mr. Irrelevant pick with Caleb Mallion with the 89th pick in the draft. Deej, how do you feel about your first round pick, Kyle Pepper? Great name.
That's all I know about him.
It's a great name.
He's got a great name. I mean, I trust I trust the Calgary Roughnecks far more than I trust Brian Gutekunst. Okay.
He's trading for Michael Parsons.
Wow, the man makes one good trade and has one good draft, and I'm supposed to just believe in him? I don't. There's a difference. Calgary has, for the last couple of years, done a pretty solid job drafting and making free agency moves. Obviously, other than letting like everybody I like go to the San Diego Seals. But I trust their decision making, and I don't think, what position does he play? D or transition? Because if he plays forward,
I'll tell you in
I won't
30
really
seconds.
understand that pick.
Kyle Pepper is transition is what he's listed as on the
Perfect.
pick graphic from the league. He went to St. Bonnie's.
We needed transition/D. And I feel like from the names that I was able to actually catch while scoreboard watching this draft while working, we did a lot of transition D and we grabbed a few forwards. I think Calgary did a great job. I don't know how many of these guys will crack the roster right away, how helpful they'll be right away, but depth pieces are most important in the draft. And we went and addressed all the places where the Roughnecks needed depth pieces.
You also drafted Noah Manning in the first round from Denver. I like that pick a lot. Kyle Pepper to me is your Shane Simpson replacement that was
Yes.
traded away last year. A lot of St. Bonnie's guys drafted this year too, so shout out to St. Bonnie's. I like what the Wings did a lot. I think they had a very solid draft. Like, they are a team that don't need a lot of star power. They have the star power already, and obviously it's going to be on Paul Day to re-sign those guys that are free agents, Mitch Jones, Joe Resetarits, and the like. But, like, you have the star power on offense, and I like that they drafted the defense. You're getting younger there. You're getting foundational pieces there. I think it was a smart draft. You didn't have to overthink it. And this was a year that, like, hey, it's time to bank on the talent we have offensively. We have some, defensive leadership coming back. Now let's get the young guys into the building and really build this thing out and be good to go going into 2025, 2026. But I like what the Wings did. What I don't like is the way that the NLL draft was presented to everybody. You have 3 very talented people on the mic hosting the draft. Teddy Jenner, Pat Gregoire, Dan Lomas. And it's popped on NLL Plus, which I'm not hating on that. I like that move too. Make the draft free. Putting it at 1 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday is my head scratcher. Why are we putting a draft at 1 p.m. on a Saturday when, for all intents and purposes, it's not like the draft is in person, which I would love to see it get back to. I think that should be a thing, the way that it was when we first started covering this league, being, plopped around to different cities in the league. Makes sense. You get fans to come out and see draft picks, interact with the teams and such. The fact that we're putting it at 1 p.m. Eastern, so let's see, Deej, we do a little math backwards, 12, 11, 10. We have the West Coast drafting at 10 a.m. Eastern time on a Saturday. Like, what are we thinking? Like, it's just not only, like, I get, college football is on. I get baseball is in the heat of, the grind to October and everything. The people that want to watch the NLL draft will watch the NLL draft. They'll pull it up on a computer or their phone and have it on. Put it in prime time. Like, why are we subjecting ourselves to less than what we should have? You're putting it on a platform that is free to use. Love that move. Everyone's accessible to watch it. But we're putting it on smack in the prime of the afternoon on a Saturday. What is, I just want to know the thought process there. It just seems so ass backwards.
Like I said, that was the one surprise I had, which is why I didn't spoil it earlier. Is like, why was it just randomly on a Saturday at 1 p.m.? Like, the build up to it seemed really lackadaisical and dry. Like, there wasn't enough about teams like asking who they should draft. Hey, we got this pick. Who do you guys want? Who fits our system? Like, there was nothing really surrounding the draft. Just maybe a day or two before. Oh, by the way, we're drafting on Saturday. Check out who your team's drafting. Oh, we're drafting right now. Here's a bunch of tweets. Like,
we're drafting
what?
And we still don't have a CBA agreed to.
We started free agency, but there's no CBA. What are we talking about? I genuinely don't understand what's happening with the NLL right now. And I don't have enough background information to talk a ton about it. So I've literally just kind of had my hands up saying, hey, yo, what the fuck for the last couple months.
Which rightfully so. Like, we have no answers because there's no transparency whatsoever when it comes to the NLL. Say what you want about the PLL. We're not going to, we are like, we will criticize things that we see fit. The PLL is so transparent with so much. And the NLL, I feel like we're in like medieval times trying to like send fucking parchment paper with a crow to a faraway castle like we're in fucking Game of Thrones trying to get answers for things. And then we won't find out about it until 2 seasons and 7 episodes later. That's where I feel like we are when it comes to the transparency of the NLL. Like, there's no answers ever unless you're in the good old boys club, which I'm not knocking the veteran guard of people who cover the league, but like the fact that the league doesn't provide transparency to the people covering your sport drives me up a fucking wall.
Absolutely. It's just like it doesn't help the sport grow. There's so many, we're all talking about how to help the game grow, but like there's a lot of things that are in the way of helping the game grow, and this is one of them. Like, and this isn't like a knock or a shot or anything. It's just like one of those complaints that's like, hey, change this for the better. Like, I'm not mad at you. I get it. You're in this situation, you're doing what you have, but like evaluate. Like, that's the whole point of doing things. You evaluate it, and then you talk over it. You discuss it. You change it if you need to. You make updates, or you leave it exactly how it is because it's perfect. This ain't perfect, and we all know that.
From.
Just make the changes that are necessary so more casual people can know what's going on. There's so many people that don't watch the NBA but know that Cooper Flagg was drafted first because it's easy to know what's going on in the NBA draft. Like it's, the NLL draft is already as complicated as the MLB and the NHL drafts. So please make it somewhat easier for all of us to understand. Like, that's what we're asking here. Also, don't allow your owners to be dickheads and not have a CBA in place while they're doing all this stuff. Like these are all just like simple things that could be changed. And it feels
Sports League 101.
Yeah, it feels kind of sloppy and
not professional.
Yes, to say the least.
Minor league.
Yeah, like dude, just put it to like it feels so like slapstick, like just thrown together. Like, actually be a professional league and put together a draft that looks good on TV, that people can follow, and that has excitement building up to it. And also, people know what kind of contracts they're signing, both in free agency, which your free agency should have started before your draft, well before your draft, so people actually know what they're drafting for. Like, these are the things that need to be in place, and they're close. They're just not quite there yet.
Oh, teacher, are you trying to say that maybe they should operate like, what's the phrase I'm looking? Oh, the next major league?
I mean, that's what they said it was going to be.
Is that what we're trying to insinuate they operate like? Is the next major league?
Yes. Yes, we do. And they need to do it now. If you're going to be the next major league,
and this is not us even
like
being mad at like Brett Fruit or anything, because we are big Brett Fruit people. We like what he has done, and we understand there's a lot that he has to kind of readjust from the prior regime, which we also did not have all that many issues with, because at some points it felt like we had more transparency then. We were in person for a lot of things then. But the fact that what should be one of your biggest tentpole events as a league, no matter what sport you are, is not happening in a prime time slot just makes no sense to me. Like, like go through every draft, each like NFL is a Thursday to Saturday event. Full-blown prime time across major networks, multiple broadcasts. NBA has now become a 2-day event, which I don't agree with, but 2-day event, broadcast across multiple networks, prime time. NHL draft, prime time, major event, broadcast amongst multiple broadcast partners. MLB draft, they have even adjusted to where the MLB draft used to happen in June and nobody knew about it. Now, the MLB draft, when does it happen? During All-Star break. Genius. When nothing's happening, we can pay attention to the draft and see who our teams are going after. And It's a time when our league is quote unquote off. So those people can really be invested in doing what their job is and drafting our next talent. Smart adjustment, smart development and analysis and takeaways to grow your sport. The NLL is just like, yeah, here you go, 1 p.m. on a Saturday on NLL Plus. Build it up to be this event. And like, I get, again, this goes back to no CBA being in place. That's the dark cloud over all of this. Everyone didn't know the draft was happening because there's no CBA agreed to. Free agency continues to get pushed back. There's just so much bullshit that could easily be cleared up. But again, I feel like we do this song and dance multiple times a year. The NLL just finds ways to piss you off.
I want to say you're wrong about that, but we've been doing this. Well, I've been doing this for about 4 years now. The NLL has definitely found a way to piss me off all 4 of these years. So I would love to say you're wrong, but you're just not. Like there's always something, and sometimes it's minor, sometimes it's major. It's always something. To me, this is somehow right in the middle. Like, this is not a minor problem, but this isn't like the most major of problems either. It's just, hey, y'all really need to get y'all ducks in order. Like everything's not in a row right now. All I's are not dotted and all T's are not crossed. Just go back through, double check, get your single file line in a straight line, and then you roll out. It's that simple. There's just a couple people who are a foot out of line. Let's just get them back in that single file line and run like an operation. Should be run.
Yeah. Let us know how you felt about the NLL draft coming and going without much pomp and circumstance, per se, by leaving us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. The voicemail line is open 24/7, 365. Leave us a voicemail, but you already know it's the How We Live in hotline, so that's how you got to start things off. But leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. Also, let us know how you feel about the PLL Championship and anything else in between. But that is all we've got for you guys in terms of content, but we do want to, unfortunately, end on a more somber note and want to send our love to the Marquette Lacrosse program, Marquette University, and anyone that was affected by the just wildly unfortunate motor vehicle accident that happened over the weekend. 2 Marquette Lacrosse players taken away far too soon. Just when I saw that come through, not only just like tweets, but also like getting an ESPN push notification for it, I was gutted. Noah Snyder and Scott McQuad, apologies to Scott, 20 years old, like just absolutely insane. It doesn't even feel like anything from what I've read feels like anything was like malicious. It was just like a motor vehicle accident that unfortunately was fatal. Noah Snyder was part of the Haudenosaunee National U20 team that just competed a couple weeks ago. Zed Williams' stepson, which was also another wrinkle in development in this. So obviously sending our love to Zed as well. Just brutal. And obviously Jake Richard is a listener of this podcast too, head coach at Marquette. And I just can't even imagine. Like, it just sucks. 2 very talented humans, 2 very bright, like, minds for not only the sport, but just life, gone way too soon.
Yeah, it's these situations are always tough. Thoughts and prayers out to the families of these 2 individuals. Thoughts and prayers, obviously, to that Marquette Lacrosse locker room. That's hard to deal with. From experience, having former teammates pass in life, it hits when it happens, but then it hits differently again when you put on a helmet, when you strap up cleats, when you throw on a jersey, when you tie up your shoes, like whatever the sport may be, when you walk in that locker room. Sometimes even just grabbing the door handle. Like these are things that they're going to have to go through for months. I can't imagine that those lockers that they were using in the locker room are going to change. So now guys have to come in and sit next to those lockers every day. That is what hurts. A family doesn't get their son, their brother, their cousin, their nephew, their uncle, grandson, whatever the case may be back. It's just so tough. And like lacrosse is a healing game. Everyone will, heal from this over time. The game of lacrosse will help, but at the same time, it'll hurt. It's going to be a reminder for a while, but also a thing that makes them feel better as well. There's obviously no words that could be said to really make anyone feel better about this. But this is one of those situations that reminds me why lacrosse is so good. We all care so much about each other and are so good to each other and are ready to be there to support one another whenever we need to, especially in situations like this. It's one that will, as a coach, these situations always sting. Because I know that could be any one of my players at any time, for a number of reasons. Anytime a lacrosse player loses their life on the field, off the field, whatever the case, it brings back that reality of me that one day I may or will get a call that a current player or a former player has lost their life in some way, and it's going to hit and it's going to hurt.
Yeah, so sending our best to Marquette, families affected, friends, all that, because just life is far too short. So hug your loved ones and be kind to one another. That is all we've got for you guys on this one. Make sure you're following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod. Subscribe to the pod on Apple and Spotify. Follow us on the socials. It's been scrolling on the ticker, but at Hoot Sports Media, at SCS_next at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod, like I said, Apple and Spotify. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. Also, thank you to everybody who gave positive feedback on our post-game recap videos. Shout out, no free shout outs to Road. They liked every video we posted. Let's work together, Road. We would love to. But yeah, new wrinkle that now that we have that, shout out to our sponsors for, helping us out and making it possible for us to purchase something like that upgrades all of our shows. Whether it be OTB content, main pod content, like I can bring that to Red October and I'll have microphones ready to go in the stands and be going absolutely bonkers. We could go to a movie and do a quick movie review outside of the theater. Like it changes a lot. So to have that capability is very awesome. But yeah, subscribe to the YouTubes and get your merch. phiapparel.co is the place to do it. Stand out in the crowd with the official merch partner of OTB. Get your OTB shirts and hoodies. Use the link in the description or go to phiapparel.co. Code underground, 10% off your next merch order. Shout out to PHI Apparel Company for being the best in the game. This has been episode number 391 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. For Deej, I'm KB. We will see you sometime this week, along with at Media Day for the PLL Championship. And then we will see you from North Jersey on Sunday, crowning a brand new PLL champion. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. We are signing off. Peace.
Peace.